Man, what a victory. The Bears beat the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis 19-17 with a last-second 48-yard kick by Cairo Santos that benefited them from the drop passes that they had and the Vikings, all right? The Bears drop passes, but the Vikings passes were a lot more costly, and this could have flipped the other way had J.J. McCarthy, not to say J.J. McCarthy had a good game, but had his receivers held onto the ball, and that's with the Bears getting 2 interceptions. So this, again, fantastic. Not coming here to ruin your evening. All right, there wasn't as much cardiac, Alex. There was a lack of cardiac in this situation. I mean, the Bears led the game for the majority of the game to the Vikings scored a touchdown within the last half of the fourth quarter. But the thing is, the Bears have now built in the resilience that they've given themselves. I think they provided it to us with us knowing, well, they could probably come back and win this. And then Devin Duvernay with one helping out Richard Hightower, but Devin Duvernay with a kick return for 56 yards, which basically, if Cairo Santos can nail it, he did miss a kick today. If he could nail it, the Bears win the game, and the Bears were successful. Alex, just preliminary, your thoughts on this Bears victory in Minneapolis.
I mean, it's kind of poetic, really, when you think about how this season has gone and how this season started. I mean, this was almost a repeat of week 1, right? Monday Night Football, Bears looking good, J.J. McCarthy looking bad, and they're cruising to what should be a victory. And then what happens? They stall out. They can't maximize all their chances. They can't do this, that, and the other thing. J.J. McCarthy comes up with the clutch fourth quarter drive to win the game, and the Bears lose, right? The Bears lose. And okay, I forgot a key detail. What starts this Vikings rally? In an uncharacteristic Cairo Santos miss. Cairo Santos miss started that rally in week 1. And then once again, I mean, Cairo is having a down year. There's no two ways around it. I am a Cairo Santos guy. I think that he is a good kicker. The fact that he can't hit from 59, 60, 61 yards doesn't bother me because typically he is money from 50 and under. But now you got to admit he's having some struggles. That's a little sidebar. So like Cairo Santos miss, starts Vikings rally, yada, yada, yada. Bears crumble. And it's the beginning of this 0-2 start, and people are freaking out in Chicago. In between then and now, the cardiac Bears have found ways to win. They have started to live in the know, which was something that I heard last week, I think, for the first time, and thought I misheard it. I was like, did he mean to say live in the now? But it's no. The Bears are trying to live in the know. K-N-O-W. Add a K in front of now, you get no. That is to say, they know they're going to make a play with the game on the line. They know that somebody is going to come through. They know that they can execute in clutch moments. They know if they have a shot in the fourth quarter, they can win the game. So they have started to live in that know. The game nearly follows that exact same script from week 1, but they show everybody we are in the middle of changing things around here. We are on the up and up. This is a new football team. This is not the Matt Eberflus Chicago Bears, like some people were wondering in week 1 when they crumbled. No, this is the Ben Johnson Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams is developing. This is a new team. We can erase those mistakes and we can still win football games. So I just thought it was like a truly poetic win to kind of summarize the difference from the Bears now, just a few months after the start of the season when it was really disastrous.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you mentioned that they were 0-2, because I don't think we think about that ever since they went on this run. They've only lost one game. Of course, it was a terrible game against the Baltimore Ravens since their MVP, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Which, man, that's an L to say the least. And it's funny, in that game, I thought that will play out somewhat in this game, referring to the mobility that Snoop Huntley displayed. I thought we were going to get that from J.J. McCarthy because that's how he closed out that victory at the beginning of the season versus the Bears was scrambling to get into the end zone. And knowing that has been a weakness of the Bears, when you think about what happened with Jackson Dart just recently, and that J.J. McCarthy was basically contained, but really didn't try, to be honest. It was more of he didn't try to get out the pocket. I don't know if it was game plan or, again, if the edges were set and he didn't have a way to get out. But a lot of the times we've been seeing the quarterbacks have been coming up through the gaps that are open. But you mentioned Caleb, and when you were talking about their ability to succeed, particularly in the fourth quarter, and after the game, he was talking about that. And we've talked about this ad nauseum, the fact that you don't really have that fear of we can't pull this off like this now. And I think sometimes we're waxing poetic when we're saying it, but it's true now. We're like, yo, this is what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like our heart rates go lower now compared to other teams. One, because they are not in the situation as often, but also other teams know that we are the best team in the league when it comes to back. I'm referring to the Bears when it comes to fourth quarter comebacks. You know, like that's what they do. Like, you know, that's on the board now that we want to be up by multiple scores, and they've still come back from that. But we want to be up because they have this ability and they've shown this propensity to be able to pull this off. Bears quarterback Caleb Williams was 16 of 32, which is funny because that was the same for J.J. McCarthy for 193 yards, 0 TDs, 0 interceptions, a QBR of 68. He ran for 26 yards on 4 carries. And just to give you J.J. McCarthy's numbers, since we were talking about them, I mentioned he was also 16 of 32, 150 yards passing, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. Shout out to Nashon and, of course, Kevin Byard again for getting back there and getting those turnovers, and a QBR of 47. So the QBRs were not QBR today, Alex. No. Your thoughts on the Bears quarterback, Caleb Williams' performance, but also at the tail end of that, perhaps J.J. McCarthy and his growth or lack thereof so far since he has come back from injury?
I thought Caleb outplayed J.J. McCarthy, but, you know, it didn't look great. Both quarterbacks, as you mentioned off the top, were hurt by drops. I mean, DJ Moore drops an easy pass. We saw some double catches. Durham Smythe dropped a first down. Luther Burden drops a big catch. I mean, Jordan Addison had drops. We saw Aaron Jones.
Man, Jordan Addison was bad.
Justin Jefferson dropped a ball. Like when Justin Jefferson is dropping the football, you know something is awry. I was in my group chat. See if you can help me come up with some more of these. We were in the group chat coming up with these. This game had more drops than Six Flags Great America. This game had more drops than a Skrillex concert.
Okay.
This game had more drops than an Apple tech reveal. You got any more for me, Kenneth? The last one.
No, yeah. I don't have. I wish you would have. You got to send me this earlier. So
sorry. I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
But also because I don't know if they would be as clean as yours. So I'm just gonna leave. I'm not gonna touch it. There's no reason for me to touch it. All right. Let's keep this PG. And you know, it's such a good game today. There's no reason to get blue. All right, and discussing anything here, because my drops was going to probably take a turn to maybe the secular, and I could just leave it on. I could be a better person. You mentioned Caleb's play and the fact that he didn't have his best game. The Bears, for the first time this year, initially had 2 3-and-outs, and then they finished that up with a third 3-and-out. That's the first quarter, basically, right there, without getting out in your offense into a rhythm or any series. So I know he started off slow. But I felt compared to other games with his slow start, there was more meat in the middle of the game than there were. And now I know that and of course Cairo missed the field goal, and I know a lot of those drives ended with field goals. But still, for them to be able, let's look. He had a punt. The Bears had a punt, a touchdown, a field goal, a punt, a field goal to field goal, a punt, missed field goal, punt, field goal. I mean, that's you want more scoring, particularly you want more touchdowns. But it wasn't a drought as there had been, where perhaps, and this is what kind of hurt them, which has been their best part, the first 15 scripted plays, they usually can kind of get something going. The funny thing, I forget this, the Bears have been on such a streak of scoring on the first drives at the beginning of this season, something they never did for years in the past. You become spoiled. But the thing was, it showed me that even with starting off slow, Caleb can kind of get to it. I'm always going to be mad at Caleb for holding the ball because that last one, he almost gave up significant, yards, how far he was when the Vikings defender was coming to try to tackle him, right? And it's just also, it makes you think about, dog, the scripted plays, you're leaving a lot out there on the field. Like there are plays out there where you're leaving, it's 1, 2, 3, get rid of the ball. But look, you are a wonderkind, all right? They got 2 sacks after almost sacking him like 4 times, which is it's so crazy, his ability to break free from being held or clutched. I also liked his body language. To me, and again, you got to be there. It seems like he's taking on a much more, I don't know if I want to say taking on much more of a leadership role. I think I want to say stepping into it, because a quarterback is usually forced into that situation. And it'll be funny to see how the team goes if they, with a couple of losses, not saying I want them to lose, but can they rally, or do they rally with him? I mean, his talent alone is going to benefit him, but it'll be interesting as time goes on. But I wasn't mad outside of holding the ball. I kind of like this game today. I want more completions, of course, but there were too many drops out there. And he did have some errant throws. You know, there were some throws.
But not like J.J. McCarthy.
Nothing was like J.J. McCarthy. Like that I would say that would be concerning for me with that receiver tandem and that tight end. If you don't have the quarterback and you let Sam Darnold, and believe me, I understood, but I wouldn't have let Sam Darnold probably walk. I would have probably tried to get 2 years I would have tried to give him the biggest Geno deal I could possibly give him, right? And then hope that maybe JJ could take the job in a season, and then I could either trade him for something, but I wouldn't have just said JJ's the guy. JJ was injured the majority of last year. But again, your thoughts on Caleb's play today, Alex?
Yeah. So I think he made some good anticipation throws that didn't always lead to completion. Sometimes they did. Great completions. The one to Durham Smythe, that was a really good completion. Like, that's a really good ball going through his progressions. Where you're seeing him go through his progressions and hit the open guy. Like Durham Smythe for sure isn't his first read. I feel pretty. I don't really know. I feel pretty confident saying that though. And then there was a third down play that I have starred here. It's a 3rd and 3. And he's targeting Luther Burden. I thought it was a great throw made with great anticipation, where, the ball's out as he's making his break. He's throwing to a spot where Luther is going to be. And it's just a better defensive play. The coverage is really good. It turns into a PBU. So that goes as an incompletion, but that's one where you tip your cap to the defense. Hey, this was a good offensive moment, but the defense was just a little bit better. I still kind of think that there is an issue with the offensive line here, even though the offensive line in the middle is improved. I got questions at tackle, and I know I've said it before. I just don't know that Theo Benedict is the long-term answer. And a lot of the rhythm of the offense and the Caleb holding onto the ball too long, I think is turning into is because he's needing to be Superman at times. It's because he's got pressure. And now some of this is probably on him, where he's missing a blitzer, missing an assignment. So there are certainly instances, I would wager, where it's on Caleb Williams that a rusher is coming in. But he's had to do that spin move that he's mastered so well a bunch, because I think he is getting pressure before he can finish going through his reads. And then he needs to hold onto the ball and extend. So that's where I think the time to throw might also be increasing. I think the time to throw is increasing kind of inorganically, not in the same way that you would typically think of a quarterback holding onto the ball too long. I think his time to throw is probably increasing because he's spinning out and extending so much. So yes, some of that is not good, right? That, you want to be in the rhythm of the offense, but I think some of that is also his superpower. So I'm not here to throw flowers and say Caleb Williams was lights out and it was amazing this, that, and the other thing. But I think he did a good job of avoiding the big mistake. There was I didn't have any moment where I was like, oh dude, what are you doing with that football? Which we had been doing earlier in the season, where he was having these boneheaded throws where you're like, dude, what, man, poor decision. Probably should have held on to that or gone somewhere else. I think he did a good job of avoiding those big mistakes so that the team could stay on track. Now in the red zone, I don't know. Again, like we've only seen this on TV. The red zone execution is still not there, right? They only scored 1 touchdown out of 3 red zone trips. That is allowing these teams again to continue staying in these games when the Bears should be putting them away. No, go ahead.
But I want to jump on what you just said. Another problem is you're allowing these teams to still be 2-trick ponies. Like in doing that, the Vikings ran for over 110 yards combined between Jones and Mason today. And you're allowing them not to put the game on a J.J. McCarthy, which you really want to do in this type of situation, particularly when J.J. McCarthy isn't playing well, but his receivers are dropping balls left and right, is force them to go into a passing situation for the remainder of the game because the score is too high for them to take too much time off the clock running the ball. And that's where it's like, yo, you guys have to, particularly within the red zone, start to score this ball to simplify this game for you, particularly knowing that your down lineman can't get it done. Like this would have been a great game for Dennis Allen to, not to say he didn't use his pressure, but to be able to just use his pressure for passing situations because the running game would be negated because the score was too high. This would have been a terrific opportunity. But I have something else I want to say about the play calling, but I don't want to cut this off if you had something else you want to add to.
Go ahead.
I enjoy how conservative Ben Johnson was this game. Like, I like the fact that let's just get out of here with a victory. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to see, and I'm not. This is how I feel. You want to see an offensive mastermind not overindulge with his wickedness. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could do this, but I know we could lose this game. Like, I love the fact, and it, like the second Bayesian out at wide out play.
Yeah.
And you know, it was like, I know you're not about to run a trick play here. It was like, dude, I know. And it's like, and it's good because we've talked about this. Once you get these trick plays on camera, and you saw initially how it forced them to be vanilla, Brian Flores, one of the better defensive coordinators, to go vanilla, not knowing what the hell Beijing was going to do out there. Was it going to be some flea flicker madness or whatever? But at the end of the game, where a lot of guys maybe would have tried to throw the ball and just stick it to the run to get to the field goal, was just like, dude, please, like that. I enjoyed that from Ben Johnson. I thought Ben Johnson called a pretty good game today and helped his offense secure the victory. Now, I think there are things, and I think we've alluded to them already. There are things that his offense can do, particularly with Caleb holding on to the ball too late. And then you mentioned this. Yes, there's an issue with Theo Benedict, and it's throwing the offense off, but we still can't apply percentages to it because we still don't know what Caleb looks like consistently within structure. You know, like it'd be different. Now, let's look at last year. Let's just say Caleb has always played well in structure, right? And then we start to see the line breakdown, and he has to be Superman due to the line breakdown. That would give us a mean to be able to be like, yeah, sure. But look how he played last year, and look how he's playing this year. I'm bringing this up because I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
What do you do when Braxton Jones is healthy? And you look at this, we talked about, you know, definitely when it comes to the pass rush, and I'm not saying Braxton Jones is some Marvel pass rush, swallow you up pancake left tackle. But on the flip side, in the run game, you see that, you know, Theo Benedict is a mauler. Yeah. And the gaps that are open on both sides compared to, it looks like sometimes when Braxton is there, you're running usually off of guard tackle right, where this gives you the benefit to run off both sides. What do you think you would do, or what do you think they're going to do when Braxton Jones comes off of IR, Alex?
Oh, I imagine that Theo Benedict is, well, I don't know. Yeah. That's a good question. Mm-hmm. I hadn't really thought about it much just because I kind of assumed that Theo Benedict was going to get a long look. But too. There's something to be said about the Bears getting another look at Braxton Jones fully healthy, because I don't think he was ever really fully healthy coming off of that ankle. Coming off the ankle this summer. I get the feeling that he was never 100% really. And I do think that Braxton Jones is good in the run game, but you're right. It's a little bit different, right? We saw kind of that inside hole opening up between Joe Tooney and Theo Benedict. There was one play in particular that they really highlighted that they were like, look, there's 2.5 yards in this hole here, right? And we've seen that. And we have seen Theo Benedict get up to the second level and be blocking guys downfield. But I think Braxton Jones is also very good on those wide zones. Like when they can get outside wide of Braxton Jones and he's able to get downfield, I still think he's very good at that. So I still think you can run some stuff behind Braxton Jones. It might just look a little bit different. I don't know. That's a good question. I think no matter what, the Bears need to once again be looking at an offensive tackle this offseason. I mean, that's without question. Unless you're just like really, really working Ozzie Trapillo on the left side in individual drills. Like we're at the time of the year where like it's the first team that is getting the reps in practice. So there's not a lot of time for Ozzie Trapillo to get like meaningful reps at left tackle, right? With that first team offense. But in individual drills, I don't know. I just don't know. But it's like Ozzie Trapillo is a guy who you tried at left tackle and all of a sudden you moved him back to the right side. I simply don't know. But I'm not sure. Here's the thing, because Braxton Jones is in a contract year. He's going to be a free agent.
Yes,
and there's no Braxton Jones is going to be a free agent. Are you going to bring him back to be a swing tackle? I don't know. Like,
why would he settle for it? I mean,
right. Somebody will give him a chance to start, I'm sure.
Someone will give him a chance, and he should take that because he can always end up as a swing tackle. He doesn't have to downgrade himself, even though I think we both believe he's probably best suited to be a premium swing tackle. But as a starter, no. So this is the thing where you're talking, and one of these things I've had in my head, and I was like, I'm gonna save it, and this will be the show that I'm gonna drop it. So, but you kind of got to some of them. You mentioned that Braxton Jones is a free agent, and probably now you're saying that going into next year without a draft pick, Ozzie Trapillo and Theo Benedict will be the guys trying out for left, right? That's what you would think. Now, before I jump on that, we saw how it seemed like, hey, Darnell, you need to get going, right? And that fire burned under him and how he jumped out. One, do you give Braxton Jones a chance with a quick hook? Like, you know what? We'll put you out there. And, if you play well, as long as you're playing well, we'll keep you. And then, of course, if he gets some games in consistently, we've heard, Coach Rozar say, some of the failings and him going back to some of his bad old habits. If he can consistently play in the style that they are bringing in, that Ben Johnson wants his offensive lineman to play, you can use him for this season. All right. This is what's been on my mind. So, Darnell Wright has been balling out of his control, right? Now,
you want to move him over?
Look, I'm just asking you. This is football. Now, let me say this. This is where football ineptitude takes place, right? because usually, in all fairness, if you got a guy that's really playing right well, right? Yeah. And it wasn't like, I know they moved him around in Tennessee, but this is where he earned his stripes as far as why he got drafted in the first round, playing on the right side.
Yeah.
Do you just see, all right, like during training camp? All right, it's not we're going to really keep him over there. But now that he can play right at a premium level, do you just see if he can play left pretty well? And that way, then you could have Ozzie and Theo fight it out for the right side, which is usually, not being the quarterback's blind side, an easier side to defend for tackles. Not saying tackle is easy whatsoever. But your thought as far as, do you just see during training camp, maybe a preseason game, if Darnell Wright can move, if, let's just say, how the draft board falls out, that you can't get a quality or the guy that you find quality in the first or second. Just like Trayvon Henderson seemed like he was going to be the pick in the second round, and then the Patriots jumped up and drafted him, and that's why perhaps the rumor is Luther Burden is now wearing a Bears uniform.
It's not my plan A. It's not my plan A to move Darnell Wright over there. My thinking on it is, you have a guy who is now, as you said, he is now starting to look like the guy you drafted at right tackle and was playing right tackle at a really high level. And I know he had a whiff or two today, but nitpicky, the guy has been really good, right? Darnell Wright's been really good. I would prefer, if I'm the head coach of the Chicago Bears, I would prefer leaving Darnell Wright at right tackle and having a premium right tackle instead of
left
an
tackle,
above average left tackle and an above average right tackle. You know,
I agree.
That's kind of where I'm at now in the ever long search for the best five, right? This is all in search for the best five guys up front. Here's where things get weird and where you might consider Darnell Wright on the left side. If you say Darnell Wright is and I am making numbers up right now. Okay. I'm making numbers up right now. Don't get mad at my numbers. If you say Darnell Wright is a 9 at right tackle, but he's a 7 at left tackle, and you say Theo Benedict is a 6 at left tackle, but he's a 3 at right tackle or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you take the addition of the numbers. You put the numbers together. If you say Darnell Wright is a 9 at right tackle, but a 7 at left tackle, but you say Theo Benedict is a 4 at left tackle, but he's a 7 at right tackle. Now the number, right? That's where the numbers make sense. Right. So that's how I think holistically you look at it. I think that's holistically how you look at it. But again, I think the plan A should be Darnell Wright is playing at a 9 at right tackle. Let's leave him there.
I'm with you.
Let's find another 9 at left tackle if possible.
I'm with you. And it seems like right now, guys are hitting more on left tackles coming out of college. They may not be Hall of Famers, but they're sturdy enough, the guys that are being drafted in the first round, top end of the second round. A lot of these guys haven't been flukes. You know, you have your one-offs, but haven't been flukes. I'm with you. I would say use your draft capital to go do that, but there's only so much you can do, particularly because you still need a pass rush. I wanted to get on this, talking about the line, but also talking about receptions with the tight ends today. I think the tight ends really stood out today. Cole Kmet was 5 targets for 5 receptions for 45 yards, and the Bears needed that so long, a longer 14 that he fought. Cole Kmet was out there playing both of them, but Cole Kmet was playing old school tight end today. It was like, oh, you want to try to tackle me? You're going to be in the training room after this game. Colston Loveland, 4 targets, 3 receptions for 40 yards, a long of 24. And you saw them in 13 with 3 tight ends out there and how they took advantage of that with the run game, but also with Smythe. Would have had 2 receptions if he had his first one, but he ended up dropping it. But you saw the offense, and I think that's one thing that we've talked about when they got in this situation with Colston Loveland and playing in 12 with 2 tight ends, 1 running back. But then you see the benefit of what Ben Johnson can do in these large packages. But they really needed it
too. We've now seen Ozzie Trapillo quite a bit as that extra blocker as well. They bring him in a bunch.
Right. And again, these are the things where, and I know it's Kenneth, but when you have an offensive-minded head coach and they always want to show you their wizardry through, I'm just going to pass through the air. But as you said, jumbo packaging to ensure the run, to ensure that we can get the first down or the touchdown. Those are the things that you see and the reasons why we always were Ben Johnson guys. But yeah, shout out to the tight ends. Your thoughts on their play today?
I think they played pretty well. You know, I had people tweeting at me like, why is Durham Smythe out there? It's like, well, he's a good run blocker. And again, I kind of want to underline what you're saying about Ben Johnson and the quote unquote conservative play calling. And I think this would have been a game where it would have been really easy for him to get away from the run. I think it would have been a game where it would have been really easy for him to get away from the run, but he remained dedicated to it. This was almost like, I don't want to say final exam because it's not a final exam, but like this was the biggest test of how dedicated to the run are you going to be, Mr. Johnson? And I know it is easier when you were ahead rather than playing from behind, but I mean, the run game flat out was not very effective. Kyle Monungai, 12 carries for 23 yards. That is under 2 yards per carry. DeAndre Swift finished the game with good numbers, 21 carries for 90 yards. 4.3, like that's fine. That's where you want to be, 4.3. But let's be honest, it was not there until the end of the game when he started getting those chunk plays at the end of the game, right? I mean, early on he was getting stuff, but then he started getting like 8, 9, 11, 8, 6. Like he really came on at the end. He really got lathered up. So like So again, that is a dedication to the run game. This is not working for us. It is not particularly effective, but we are going to continue going to it with the game on the line. And then just one more thing about this isn't necessarily conservative play calling, I don't think, but along the lines of like Ben Johnson's mindset, managing the game, a road game like this, right, where things are getting hairy. I think it says a lot that he put the game in Cairo Santos's hands after the, what was it, 45-yard miss. You know, he did not lose confidence at all. Now, Devin Duvernay helps a lot with that big return, but they didn't throw the ball after that. You know, after that, they were like, okay, we are right here. We are very close to field goal range. We are not putting the ball in harm's way through the air. We are running the ball, and we are going to end this game with a field goal attempt, right? And saying we are putting the game in our kicker's hands, even though he just missed his last attempt and played a role in us being in this position in the first place. Not being shy, saying we still have all the faith in the world in Cairo, and Cairo then coming through and saying, okay, yeah, that last miss was not great, but whatever, on to the next kick. And I think Cairo's been very good at that throughout his entire career, is on to the next kick. And right, I mean, like Ben Johnson did not get shy, did not say, okay, we need to score a touchdown here, or we need to get super aggressive. No. Let's run out this clock, and we are ending this game with a field goal attempt. I think it shows a lot of faith in the kicker, even after the miss.
Your kicker needs to be able to kick a 60-yard field goal in today's NFL. I want to say that. But something you just said, I think this will help anybody watching or listening to us when you think about something. You have to give props one to Brian Flores, right? Because just having this discussion and opened up, we talked about, and of course we're watching the game, and for a lot of the game, I think Tom Brady did a good job, even though he shouldn't be able to be an owner and do that job, particularly the amount of money. Like that's not
crazy.
hating on
it. It is kind of crazy. He gets a lot of inside information from doing that job. A lot of
inside information, and his team still is trash. But I want to say this: we mentioned that Theo Bennett and Joe Tony, how wide the gaps were, right?
Yeah.
And you said that there were some whiffs with Darnell Wright. But when you think about the game, and we haven't went back and watched the game yet, but just I want you to think about this. How many blitzes were coming off of the right side? And particularly, and one thing when we think blitzes a lot, we think of blitzes for passing downs, but no, you're going to have, particularly with Brian Flores, he's blitzing on rundowns because the Bears are the second best team in the league in rushing the football. So and what we said earlier about J.J. McCarthy, I want Caleb to be a one-trick pony because I know he's able to get away with stuff because they're able to run the ball. So if I can start to take the run away, perhaps I can get an advantage of, one, he's going to hold on to the ball. I know it's hard to bring him down, but he's going to give us a chance to get him, and also there are gaps in their pass pro, referring to the Bears. So those guys get paid too. So when you're, when sometimes we're like, they didn't run, and this isn't you, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
When they run the ball well, it's because the other team's not trying to let them run the ball well, right?
Right. When I said the Bears were doing an ineffective job running the ball, like, yes, the Minnesota Vikings had a lot to do with it.
Right. And think about how many runs we've seen this year come off of Jonah Jackson and Darnell Wright. And they went after this game. Like what that won't be, those gaps won't be there for you. And a lot of the runs that DeAndre, of course, we know they went off the left. There were a lot of up the guts runs, which they have been doing this year, but there are a lot of the up the guts runs. And shout out to DeAndre Swift for the type of running he's been doing this season. Like he's been running rugged, and that's what you want to see with someone who's viewed as a speed merchant. Like put your nose in there, get gritty and get grindy with it. And even though Cal Monungai didn't have crazy yards, he was the bowling ball that he's been since he joined this team out of Rutgers. But again, your kicker does in this NFL needs to be able to kick 60-yard field goals. Just want to put that at some point. Like you said, it's funny, and we won't do this today. We'll go over this later on in the season, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to have a situation like what happened with Robbie Gould. Anybody too young to remember Robbie Gould? Some people say he was a locker room lawyer. He was a big-time vet, right? And one of the greatest kickers in Bears history. And he had a down year, and they got rid of him too soon. right? He ended up going to the 49ers and getting back to what he was before and having a Hall of Fame career. I'm sure one day, depends on how this goes with kickers, and because some of them are going to jail that's been viewed as some of the great ones, or I'm joking, but
I'm pretty sure he single-handedly beat the Bears in one of his revenge games, like
right,
15-13. He kicked 5 field goals and single-handedly beat the Bears.
So in saying that, to your point, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater referring to Cairo Santos, because not 60 yards, but outside of that, he's automatic. And this just gets to be a down year, and you let him go, and then he goes somewhere for the next 3 years and misses only 2 kicks, 2 field goals, and you're like, damn, why did I just get upset with him or that type of situation? Yeah. So I want to put that, but we will go over that later on in the season. Anything on the offensive side you want to do before we take the defensive side and jump up out of here?
Nah, let's talk defense real quick.
Where was the Tez effect?
He had a PBU. He had a pressure. Wait. Just because he was on this, just because he wasn't on the stat sheet doesn't mean we didn't have Tez effect. Let me see. Wait, let me find 98's number, because I know I wrote down. Okay, all right, here we go. Second series. I didn't have to go that far. D2, second possession. It was 3 and out. 98 pressure leads to 35 TFL. He's helping CJ Gardner-Johnson, right? He's pressuring, ball comes out. I remember the play exactly. Ball comes out, CJ Gardner's right there. TFL. Tez effect, baby. That CJ Gardner-Johnson gets the stat. CJ Gardner-Johnson gets the stat, but that's Tez effect. That's Tez effect. How about the big PBU? How about the big PBU?
The PBU was nice. The thing is this. I'm not mad that you're not getting sacks all the time.
Yeah.
The pressures are an issue, particularly when you're singled up. And to be honest with you, when you're supposed to be him, you're supposed to be a double team or two every now and then, if we're being honest with you.
Yes.
If you're being him. But I have to nick you a little bit, because I know everybody likes it when you kind of go back and forth. We can't just all be sunflowers and lollipops 24/7 on here or whatever. But I did want to say something about somebody that popped to me today. Grady Jarrett had one of his better games with collapsing the pocket. Like there was a couple times he put that guard in or center in the lap of J.J. McCarthy, and it was like he altered the pass, or he like that right there. There were times that Grady Jarrett showed why they brought him in. It needs to be more consistent, and I hope it's not Father Time caught his ass. But we'll see as the season goes on. Of course, he started the season injured.
No, you're right. I'm kidding too. That's the only 2 times I wrote down 98's number. He finished. I just looked it up. He finished the game with 2 tackles and a QB hit. He had the pass breakup. Not the most Tez effect game of all time, but I'm kind of kidding around. But he does affect the play sometimes when he doesn't show.
He does. No, he does. It's just.
But yes, he didn't have the sack. He didn't have the forced fumble. He didn't have the big run stop. We didn't see the big moment.
You need him to be a borderline Pro Bowler. Not again. Maybe
not even borderline, man. The way they're paying him, they need him to be a Pro Bowler. Right.
You need him to be a Pro Bowler. We would sit here because we want everything and all the nice things and say, like, if he was like leading the league, or let's just say he was top 4 in pressures, right? He has to get him. Even though that's harder now than what it used to be with quarterback mobility, and also everybody's got a cannon damn near and wrist action, right? So the balls are coming out, but he needs to be at that level so that it will open up more pressure opportunities for his other 4 down linemen. And that's just something that we have to harp on here until he pops, or they bring somebody else in to alleviate the fact that he's not getting it done in the fashion that I'm sure they desire him to get it done with, commensurate with the amount of money that he's being paid.
Yeah. On the brighter side, how about them Chicago Bears ball hawks?
Dude.
Okay, so at the time of the Nahshon Wright interception, this might not be true by the time you're listening to this, especially if you're listening to this days after we record. There's a good chance it's not true anymore. But at the time of the Nahshon Wright interception, I thought this was staggering. NFL interception leaders, number 1, Kevin Byard with 5. Tied for second are 3 players at 4. 3 players are tied at 4. One of them is Nahshon Wright. The other is Tremaine Edmonds. And then the third is Devin Lloyd. So out of the top 4 interception guys in the NFL, 3 of them are Bears.
Crazy. That's the only thing keeping the defense
crazy. And Nahshon Wright, I mean, like, he's kind of having like that year that Diggs had with the Cowboys, where he was like kind of getting torched a lot, but also kind of intercepted a lot of passes. It's reminding me of that where, yes, okay, he's going to give up some catches, but you have to give props to the athleticism. He's obviously huge,
long,
rangy, athletic guy, like Nashawn Wright, playmaker, who's only playing because Jalen Johnson is hurt and has really helped out in a lot of moments. If he doesn't intercept that ball, it's probably a Jordan Addison touchdown.
Oh, you know? It's not Jordan Addison was dropped.
There were a lot of drops. Jordan Addison dropped a handful of touchdowns today.
It wasn't even just this. Even with his height, how he had to stretch to get that. My thing is this, and we talked about just a second ago with playing up to your contract, right? Let's keep that theme here, right? This guy was going to be your fourth or fifth, if we're including the nickel, your fourth cornerback, right? Because you're talking about Jalen, Tariq, Terrell Smith, then we're getting to him, right? If we're not including Kyler Gordon playing a nickel, right? Then we're getting to him coming in because Al Harris is like, yo, let's take a flyer on this kid, whatever. He's pressed into starting, all right? And I love the fact that you use Diggs because that is definitely where this is at. Like, I can't get mad. He's not him, but he's playing like something up with him. And I mean that in a positive sense. Like, he's not him, but dog, he's out here altering games consistently. So yes, he gets burned, and everyone gets burned in this league, right? But he's out here altering games, and one of the main reasons this defense has anything to write home about, which that is another thing where it's like, what? And Jay Hood asked me this week, Bears players who I thought could be Pro Bowlers, and I said, Darnell Wright, Tooney, right? And I said Byard and Edmonds, right? I said
without a doubt,
right? And you hitting that one with Wright being right there, stuck at number 2, also tied with number 2, hits that with a bubble. We're not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler. That's not what we're saying. But we're just saying that him being able to play as a super sub at this point and what he's able to do. I hope Tyreek Stevenson is able to play. He didn't get back into the game after him and Brisker collided, trying to break up a ball that it looked like one of them. It looked like Tyreek was going to be able to intercept. All right. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here? I know we got stuff to do.
No, right. I think. I mean, we talked about it on defense.
I'll set you up. Go ahead. Who's your game ball going to?
It's going to be unpopular, but I'm going with the captain, Cairo Santos.
I knew you were.
Listen, I mean, the miss was bad, right? And it started a Vikings rally. That is without a doubt. But he was 3 for 3 before that. And then with truly the game on the line, throws it away, squeaks the game winner in there. When we're looking back on this season 5 years from now, we're not going to remember that it kind of snuck in that goalpost there. We're just going to remember, he hit a game-winning kick, and he did. I mean, that's big time. That's big time to shake that off, win the football game, and shaking off the previous miss.
All right, I got 2. I could split it, but I'm gonna be generous. I mentioned one of them, Grady Jarrett. Being Grady Jarrett, you need your 3 technique to either penetrate or pick that guy up and put him in the quarterback slap. He was doing a lot of picking up and putting today. I at least saw it several times at this game. Other one, they don't get the win probably without this, even though they are fourth quarter darlings. Devin Duvernay with the 56-yard, because we were going to be talking crazy about Ryan Hightower's punt team. I mean, coverage team, because Price got 2, but one got pulled back. So like that right there is
Josh Blackwell with the running into the kicker. Now it was a little bit, it was tough because the guy had to move forward to catch the punt. Yeah, that's another one where it's like, man, the Bears nearly had him pinned deep. But
right, and then you give that you give them yards right there. All right, your extra point today, Alex.
My extra point, I am back to talking about USC athletics, but this time I'm talking USC basketball, specifically Jazzy Davidson. Okay, so Juju Watkins,
please
lit up the world. Oh no, she's amazing. Lit up the world. And it was such a shame last season. Like, it was really tough last year because it felt like last year was legit
The year.
championship, legit championship
At
aspirations.
least make it to the title game.
Oh, for sure. You know,
Yes.
Juju was playing great. Kiki Iriafen, like, this is the year with Kiki. They had it kind of going on. And then obviously Juju Watkins tears her ACL. It's really tragic. Yada, yada, yada. So it was a little bit down getting ready for this USC season without Juju Watkins. But here comes another freshman phenom, Jazzy Davidson, who's honestly, she's doing a little bit of everything, right? She's distributing, she's rebounding, she's scoring, she's playing good defense. Listen, I know USC lost to the Gamecocks. I'm not gonna hold anybody to task for losing to the Gamecocks. They have been the class of the sport for many years now. I know how Kenneth feels about Dawn Staley. You know how I feel about Dawn Staley and the Gamecocks. Like, I got a lot of love for the Gamecocks. Great team. So no problem losing to the Gamecocks. And I'm just like, hey, okay, Jazzy Davidson, are the Trojans back? And now I'm really looking forward to next year. Jazzy Davidson and Juju.
And Juju's gonna have something to prove.
There is a chance if Juju Watkins graduates early. I have no idea what her progress is towards her credits to graduate from USC.
Probably won't, though, because of women's basketball and with the NIL, you make so much money staying in school.
Oh, right, staying in school rather than going to the W. Sure,
crazy. Yeah,
sure. So if Juju Watkins stays, because she won't be old enough, she needs to graduate. Yo, I am all of a sudden.
You're getting her for 4 to 5 years, Alex. You're definitely getting her for 4. But you're getting her for 4 or 5 years. Because, dude, let alone if she pops again next year, the NIL, and then the only thing is this: we don't know with the WNBA, CBA coming up this year. Yeah. How much that will increase their salaries and make that more attractive, perhaps, for players not to stay. But at the level that Juju is, her NIL deal has to be in the top 5 in women's basketball easily. I would say easily, right? So we'll see. So even though we got to get out here, my extra point. This goes to last year's draft, QB draft. We see that Drake May sits at the top right now when we rank these guys. Caleb is right now at number 2. We have to see a healthy Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix is Bo Nix. But the guy that I want to talk about, and I don't smile when I'm saying this. I liked Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix when he was in college at Indiana. I liked him when he was at Washington. My always fear was his body and his knees. He had a bone bruise rather. And he went out today versus Carolina, and they had to bring in Kirk Cousins, which I wonder why they didn't trade him. And then it hit me. I was like, dumbass, because they know that their quarterback can go out. I hope he doesn't have a serious knee injury. But it's just one of those things. And it's why it was interesting when they made that selection with his injury history when they'd already given Kirk Cousins that money. But again, hey, maybe you need 2 quarterbacks down there in the ATL. But anyway, wishing that he heals and it's not a serious injury, but it's just one of those things where you help a player is healthy, but when they have injury history like that, you're asking a lot for them to come into the next level and not have an injury moving forward. All right, that is it for us here at the Windy City Podcast. Alex Shapiro, I'm Kenneth Davis. We'll see you this week as we discuss the Bears' upcoming game. We don't know if they're going to face Aaron Rodgers or not versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll find out sometime during this week. Always appreciate you taking a little bit of time to sit here with us and talk some Bears football. Make sure you tune in again this week and again after next week's game versus the Steelers. We'll see you. All right, got you out at 6:03.